What is going on, everybody? Sports Expert here, and we are here doing our first NFL mock draft of the 2022 season. 2022 NFL mock draft. We did a few 2021s. Now we're going to do a 2022. This will be a first round mock draft only. So yeah, if you guys are interested in these type of videos, NFL, mock draft, college, anything, please hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel. Turn on the post notification bell. It would be appreciated very much. Hit the like button. Hitting the like button helps our video in the algorithm. That would mean a lot to me, and commenting as well. So I would really appreciate that. So yeah, let's get started with the 2022 NFL mock draft. With the first overall pick in the 2022 NFL mock draft, I have the Detroit Lions selecting quarterback Carson Strong out of Nevada. I think it's clear to me that Carson Strong is QB1 for the 2022 class. It's a very weak quarterback class, but if there's a guy that is quarterback one, I believe it is Carson Strong. He has the intangibles to be a great quarterback at the next level. He can definitely be the Josh Allen, the next Josh Allen. There's a lot of people comparing him to Josh Allen. That's definitely not a bad comparison at all. I see the arm strength. I see the talent there with Strong, and I just think there's a lot to like there for the Detroit Lions, a team that will be looking for a quarterback in the near future, as they've already been discussing benching Jared Goff. So it's obvious that the Lions do not look at Goff as a franchise quarterback. At 2, I have the Philadelphia Eagles selecting Kyle Hamilton, safety out of Notre Dame. The Philadelphia Eagles could use a lot of secondary help, and a guy that definitely can play all over the field is Kyle Hamilton. He's arguably the number one prospect in the whole entire draft. And, playing safety, playing corner, anywhere, maybe even linebacker, Kyle Hamilton is that guy. And, he has some crazy untapped potential, and maybe the Eagles can use him right. If they do, he can be arguably the best defensive player in football someday. He's that good. At 3, for the Houston Texans, a lot of people have this guy going first overall. I have him going third to the Texans, Kayvon Thibodeau. Kayvon Thibodeau, edge out of Oregon. He's had a great season so far. He missed a couple games due to injury, but, his stat lines are still very impressive. He's definitely the consensus number one edge rusher in the draft, no doubt about it. He's just very talented. There's no doubt about it. And if the Texans pass up on this guy when they need edge help desperately, I'd be stunned. At 4, I have the New York Jets selecting Derek Stingley Jr., cornerback out of LSU. This is not actually my number one corner in the draft, but most teams will have Derek Stingley Jr. as on the top of their list on their big board. So I have the Jets going for Stingley here. Robert Saleh wanting to improve his defense, as he's a defensive mind, obviously. They get one of the better corners in the nation in Stingley, and another guy with a ton of untapped potential like Kyle Hamilton. Definitely will be NFL ready by then. So none of these guys are really like raw. Like Derek Stingley, he's ready. The Jets take him. He's going to be stepping in there day one and starting. At 5, I have the Jacksonville Jaguars selecting Evan Neal, offensive tackle out of Alabama. Neal can play outside, inside. He mainly plays on the left side, though, so that's beneficial for the Jaguars because they do need some offensive line help. Not sure if Cam Robinson's a future left tackle, but, if he isn't, you could put Neal at left tackle. And if they do keep Cam Robinson, you could put Neal at left guard. Andrew Norwell will probably be gone sooner than later, so yeah, you can put Neal there. You can form an offensive line with Robinson at left tackle, Neal at left guard, Linder at center, Barch at right guard, and Taylor at right tackle. So that would definitely be interesting for the Jaguars and a team that needs to protect Trevor Lawrence as much as possible. At 6, I have the Philadelphia Eagles selecting, with their second pick in this top 6, Aiden Hutchinson, edge out of Michigan. So Aiden Hutchinson, probably the number 2 edge rusher in the class for sure. He has the potential to be a perennial all-pro defensive end. The potential with him is unreal. Michigan has these players that aren't, superstars in the NFL, but Aiden Hutchinson has the potential to be that. And I think he's going to be ready day one, stepping in, making a huge impact for a defense. And if the Eagles can take him here, him and Kyle Hamilton, that'd be a huge W for them. At 7, I have the New York Giants selecting Tyler Linderbaum, center out of Iowa. Probably the best center prospect in many years. Another guy, a consensus All-American offensive lineman one of the best players in the nation. There were actually analysts calling this guy the best player in the whole nation. It's crazy. This guy, that's how good this guy is. We'll see how he does at the NFL level, but a team needing a center is the New York Giants, and I just don't think they can pass up on him at this point. They need him. And he has those leadership skills too. At 8, with their second pick of the first round, I have the New York Jets selecting Garrett Wilson, wide receiver out of Ohio State. Garrett Wilson, I think he is the number one receiver in this class. He just looks like more of a finished product than other guys like Chris Olave, Treylon Burks, Jahan Dotson, and Drake London. So, yeah. Give me Garrett Wilson at 8 for the Jets. Michael Ford is going to need some weapons on that offense to help Zach Wilson succeed, and Garrett Wilson has to be the first guy they go after. And you have a receiving corps of a duo of him and Elijah Moore. That definitely suits well for the U in the future. So, from the Jets, Garrett Wilson is a top target here. At 9, with the Washington football team, I have them selecting the second quarterback in the first round, Matt Corral out of Ole Miss. I just don't believe Matt Corral will be going anywhere other than Washington. Washington is the perfect fit for a player like him. There are rumors that they could trade for Tua Tagovailoa, but I think Corral would be a better fit here in Washington and would be the answer. Could be the answer to their long-term solutions. Corral, definitely a gunslinger, has the escape abilities and, abilities to run the football. So if you put him in a pass-heavy offense, run-heavy offense, it won't matter. He's just going to go off. I like the potential with Corral here. At 10, I have Jahan Dotson being selected by the Miami Dolphins, wide receiver out of Penn State. It's weird. You don't know who wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3, or wide receiver 4 is in this draft. It's very mixed. So, but I have the Dolphins. I feel like they're going to be interested in a guy like Jahan Dotson. I think Dotson's a guy that they're going to go hard for. I'd be shocked if they didn't at this point. He's been bailing out Sean Clifford most of the season. He has the potential to be a very elite receiver at the next level. And honestly, the Dolphins need any talent they can get right now. They don't have their first-round pick. That is the 49ers pick. At 11, I have the New England Patriots selecting Ahmad Sauce Gardner, cornerback out of Cincinnati. Gardner, he's actually my number one corner in the whole draft class, so I think this would be a semi-steal for the New England Patriots. They need a cornerback to line up against J.C. Jackson, and I don't think Joejuan Williams is getting it done. Kyle Duggar's obviously a safety. He won't play corner, so... And Devin McCourty's getting old. They could go for a safety too, but the safety class is not warrant of another top 11 pick other than Kyle Hamilton, and he's not falling to 11. No way. So give me Gardner to the Patriots. I think this is a must-add if you're a New England fan. Not sure how long Bill Belichick will be coaching for, but as long as he's there, Ahmad Sauce Gardner is a guy they definitely will pursue. He just seems like a New England Patriot to me. Great ball hawking skills and everything. At 12, I have the Denver Broncos selecting Akeem Okwonu, interior offensive lineman at NC State, North Carolina State as well. Okwonu, there's a lot of people saying he might be the best offensive lineman in the class. It's definitely interesting. I could see it, but I don't think he is. I still have Neal and Linderbaum in front of him, but I think it is closer than people think. I think Okwonu has NFL-ready skills at this point. You can put him outside, inside. I think he'll do anything. Obviously, he won't play center, but, I have him more suited as a guard at the NFL level, but teams might try him at tackle anywhere. In Denver, they need some line help. They need interior line help. They have Dalton Risner at the left guard. They can stick him at right guard, Okwonu, and even at right tackle if they need to. So that would form an offensive line at Garrett Bowles at left tackle. At left guard, you can have Dalton Risner. At center, you have Lloyd Cushenberry. And at right guard, right tackle, you have Okwonu. So, and there's definitely answers to be, questions to be answered still with the right side of the offensive line for Denver. So, and the Denver Broncos offensive line has struggled this season. A guy like Garrett Bowles, who was a second-team All-Pro last year, he struggled a bit this year. So getting a guy like Okwonu could help with that as well. At 13, with their third and final first-round pick, I have the Philadelphia Eagles going offense here and selecting Kenyon Green, offensive lineman out of Texas A&M. This could be a steal, too, because Green, He could go in the top 10. I have him going 13 here. The Eagles need interior offensive line help. Landon Dickerson's been playing right guard, but Jason Kelsey will be retiring sooner than later, so he'll be their potential franchise center. And Andre Dillard seems to be on the trade market. So at left tackle, you'll have Jordan Mailata. Left guard, Brandon Brooks, as long as he's healthy, it seems. Unless they want to put him at right guard. At center, you have Landon Dickerson. Right guard, you could have Kenyon Green, who I believe plays more right guard than left guard. I could be wrong on that, though. And at right tackle, you obviously have the franchise guy, Lane Johnson. So that would form a nice nucleus of an offensive line to help whoever the quarterback is next season, if it's Jalen Hurts or not. At 14, I have the Carolina Panthers selecting Charles Cross, offensive tackle, Mississippi State. This team basically needs help on everywhere on their offensive line. Maybe except center, but geez, their offensive line is atrocious. So Charles Cross is a guy you got to look into. He's not one of my favorite prospects in the class, but he's definitely a guy that, the Panthers have to take a shot on at least in order to try to recoup some offensive line help, for whoever their quarterback's going to be, Sam Darnold, just Deshaun Watson, I don't know. But Charles Cross if they pass on him, it's just like the Panthers are neglecting offensive line and they're not trying. At 15, I have the New York Giants selecting Myjai Sanders, edge / defensive tackle out of Cincinnati. He can play all over the field, especially on the defensive line. He could even play linebacker at some points, but he's mainly suited as an edge rusher. And he can also play inside as well. He's definitely an elite player, one of the best players in the whole group of 5 at Cincinnati. So Myjai Sanders, definitely a guy I'm looking into from the Giants. They need some defensive line help. They signed Leonard Williams, but at the same time, they have Ojulari. But if you can get Sanders on that defensive line, it could be unstoppable again like it was in 2020 when they had Dalvin Tomlinson. So Myjai Sanders is a guy the Giants need to look into for sure. At 16, I have the Kansas City Chiefs. I didn't think they'd be picking this high, but how about this? Chris Olave, wide receiver, Ohio State. Olave, definitely a guy that's been in college for a few seasons now. He's in his senior year. He'll be ready for the NFL. And, if I'm the Kansas City Chiefs, I'm taking a flyer on him. They need some offensive help. You could argue they need defensive help because of how bad their defense has been, but the offense hasn't been better, especially their weapons, outside of Tyreek Hill, who's actually struggled a bit this season. I mean, it's been bad. So if I'm the Chiefs, I'm getting a receiver from Mahomes. I'm pleasing my quarterback and helping him out. And I think Olave, I don't know if he'd be a Pro Bowler with the Chiefs. I think he can be a Pro Bowler in the NFL, but with the Chiefs, I don't know if he'll be that because of the surplus of weapons they have. It's just those weapons haven't been performing. So give me Olave here for the Chiefs. I think if Andy Reid wants he wants to go with performance over whatever. Chris Olave is a guy. At 17, I have the Atlanta Falcons maybe getting the steal of the first round here. Marvin Leal, interior defensive lineman out of Texas A&M. He's one of my favorite players in the whole class, but because of need and everywhere on other teams in front, I think he's a guy that could surprisingly fall. I said the same thing about Derek Brown a couple seasons ago when he was selected in 2020 by Carolina at 7 overall, but he didn't. So DeMarvin Leal, definitely a guy that I'm very interested in, and a guy that he could go in the top 5. We'll see, but if the Falcons can get him at 17, that'd be ridiculous. Pair him and Grady Jarrett up inside, geez, the running teams wouldn't be able to run the ball. No way, So the Falcons, if DeMarvin Leal's there, you have to take him. If you don't, somebody has to be fired. And as, analysts would say, they would say somebody has to be fired, So at 18, the Pittsburgh Steelers, I have them selecting Kenny Pickett, quarterback out of Pitt. They need a quarterback, get the Pitt guy. Just why not, They did it with James Conner. Why not do it with Kenny Pickett? Kenny Pickett plays in Heinz Field already. It would make a lot of sense to take him, One of the best quarterbacks in the nation. Could be the Heisman leader right now. Definitely a top candidate. He did lose to Western Michigan, but he still actually had a really good game versus Western Michigan. The defense just didn't show up. So we're not really Pickett's fault. Pickett's had a great season so far. And, I don't know how I feel about Pickett. I mean, I don't love him as an NFL quarterback, but a college quarterback, I think he's great. But if the Steelers he's a guy that the Steelers can unlock with, Mike Tomlin. We'll see. But yeah, give me Pickett to Pittsburgh. Just makes a lot of sense for both parties involved. At 19, I have the Minnesota Vikings selecting Ka'ir Elam, cornerback out of Florida. The Vikings probably need some cornerback help. They have Patrick Peterson and Bashad Breeland, but Peterson's getting up there in age. He's been hurt. He's only on a one-year deal. Bashad Breeland's been absolutely terrible this season, so getting a corner would make a lot of sense. And maybe you can pair up Dantzler and Ka'ir Elam. Elam was a top 10, could be a top 10 guy. He was a top 10 guy heading into 2020. He was always going to be a top 10 guy heading into 2020 in the 2022 class. So if I'm the Vikings here, you got to take a shot on a corner, I think, and Elam is the guy with the most potential here. You could go Andrew Booth as well, but I'm more of a fan of Elam at this point. Booth hasn't impressed me a ton this season. At 20, the Cleveland Browns, I have them selecting Treylon Burks, wide receiver out of Arkansas. This is one I've kept tabs on for a bit now. The Browns, I think Treylon Burks could be a great fit in Cleveland. You know, as a Browns fan, we do need a receiver, so they could take Drake London here, but I think Treylon Burks is the better pick. London is probably my fourth or fifth receiver in this class. As much as he's performing in college, I just don't know what he'll do in the NFL. He definitely has the size to play, but there's just guys I like more than London right now, and Burks is a guy I think could be special on the right team. So, and the Cleveland Browns need receiver help. So he'll be a guy that steps in day one and gets a decent amount of playing time, as he should. At 21, I have the Buffalo Bills going out and getting an offensive lineman, selecting Darian Kinnard out of Kentucky. Interior offensive lineman, he can play outside, anywhere. They need it, especially on the interior. So I expect Kinnard to play interior if he were selected by Buffalo. You know, they have a great coaching staff. They can definitely teach him quick. Maybe they can get him in there quick. Maybe he can be a solid starter as fast as possible. I could see this guy being one of the top rookies in 2022. So if I'm the Bills, you need offensive line help. Kinnard's a guy you can take. You can take guys like Penning, Petit Frere, but give me Kinnard here for the Bills. A guy that could go in the top 10, top 15, but top 10 might be a stretch. Top 15 is very realistic. But if he falls to 21, the Bills need to take a shot at a guy like him. Obviously, there's other options, but Kinnard is a guy you need. At 22, I have the Los Angeles Chargers taking George Karlaftis, edge defensive tackle out of Purdue. The Chargers, what's their main weakness this season? Stopping the run. And if they want to stop the run, go out and get George Karlaftis. He can stop the run. He can rush the passer. He can do it all. He probably goes way before 22, but, you know, I have him sticking here at 22. And there's another guy that could go way before, you know, the 20s, but I have him going in the 20s. Another guy coming up in a few picks here. But Karlaftis, Purdue, it's rare for Purdue to have a crazy talented players, but having a guy like Karlaftis is special, you know. So if the Chargers somehow get him, he could honestly, if there's one rookie that can make a Super Bowl impact, it could be Karlaftis, just because of the need the Chargers have. If they could stop the run, they'd be insane. That's the reason why they got crushed by Baltimore. They can't stop the run. At 23, we have the New Orleans Saints selecting Drake London, wide receiver out of USC. Here I go with London. I have him being the fifth wide receiver selected in the class. Despite the production, I still think there needs to be some work done, and the size, despite the size as well. But the Saints, they need receiver help so bad. It's insane. I mean, Marcus Callaway is solid, but other than that, I mean, there's nothing there. They have Michael Thomas. He can't stay healthy. He's frustrated with the organization. But if they can get Thomas back on track, they'll have him, London, Callaway. That wouldn't be a bad 1, 2, 3. So the Saints, they need another receiver. Drake London is a guy. They have to select him. They have to. There's nobody else they can select, in my opinion, here at 23. London has to be the guy. So if I'm Sean Payton, I'm looking hard into Drake London. At 24, I have the Dallas Cowboys selecting Andrew Booth Jr., cornerback out of Clemson. Booth obviously hasn't had the greatest season in the world. He definitely has had some flashes like he has in the past. And the Cowboys, they may not need a corner, but with Trayvon Diggs playing well, I mean, they can get a guy to pair up with Diggs. Anthony Brown is not the answer. Let's be real. So Andrew Booth Jr. and Trayvon Diggs, that could be one of the scariest pairings in football for many years to come. No doubt about it. And Clemson, who very well coached, all their defensive players are very well coached. Offense, not so much. I mean, the thing about the Saints, they could take Justin Ross out of Clemson, but Ross has some injury problems and everything, so I don't know if he's worth a first round pick. But going back to the Cowboys with Clemson, Booth, I think has potential. I don't know how much potential, but he's a guy I definitely wouldn't mind going to Dallas. At 25, I have the Tennessee Titans selecting Devin Lloyd, linebacker out of Utah. A team that could use some linebacker help is the Titans. Rashaan Evans doesn't seem like he's getting it done. His fifth-year option was declined. Jayon Brown's a free agent after the year. Don't know how much money he'll want. He's been injured, though, so he might just stay at this point. But Devin Lloyd, if they need another linebacker. The defensive line seems to be coming into fruition for the Titans. They could go corner here, but I feel like they're a team that could go corner in free agency or trade. So I feel like they really want a veteran up there in that secondary. So I'm going to say they draft a linebacker here with Lloyd. He can even rush the passer if he needs to. I mean, very versatile football player. Mainly suited for linebacker, though, so I like it here for the Titans. At 26, here's the guy I said that could go way higher that may not because of other needs on the teams. The Cincinnati Bengals. Could be the steal of the draft here if this happens. Could be the next Aaron Donald. I've been saying it. He's a top 3 player in the draft. I don't know why he's going at 26, but because of other teams' needs, 26 is here where I have him. Teams could select him anywhere from the range of 4 to 26, obviously, 4 to 15. But weirdly, there's some players that just fall. Like Aaron Donald, there were people talking about him being the first overall pick. He fell to 13. Anything can happen here. Jordan Davis, defensive tackle out of Georgia. Like, he can do everything. The most unstoppable player in the college football. If I had to vote for the Heisman Trophy right now, Jordan Davis is who I'm voting for. Best player in college football. The guy is unreal. The Cincinnati, I mean, if the Bengals get him, they're winning the AFC North in 2022. They could even win it in 2021. I mean, Burrow, Chase, best wide receiver, quarterback duo in football this season. No way they don't win the AFC North if they take Jordan Davis. They're going to. The guy is amazing. He's going to be a perennial superstar, all-pro in the NFL. He's going to be similar to Aaron Donald. You guys watch. That's going to be something. At 27, I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers selecting Nakobe Dean, defensive end linebacker out of Georgia. Can play outside linebacker, can play regular edge. Doesn't matter what scheme you put him in, he'll succeed. He'll probably play a linebacker in a 4-3, an edge in a 3-4. Don't be shocked if that happens. Dean has crazy potential. I had him as a Heisman candidate to start the season after his performance against Clemson. Obviously, don't anymore, but he definitely should be top 15 considering that the Georgia defense has been ridiculous. Top 15 Heisman candidate, maybe even a top 15 pick. This guy is unreal. The Buccaneers, they're a team that has so many positions already locked up. Who cares? Just take the best player available, and I think that might be Nakobe Dean at this point. At 28, with the Detroit Lions' second pick here, I don't know what pick they exactly have, but I think they have the Rams pick or something like that. So, Darian Kendrick, cornerback out of Georgia, so I've been taking another Georgia defensive player 3 in a row. It's insane. This defense is crazy. They're going to have many first-round picks. And Darian Kendrick, the Lions need a corner. I mean, he might struggle to start his NFL career, Kendrick. He had a rough year at Clemson in 2020, transferred to Georgia, and has played like an All-American. So, he was very good in 2019 with Clemson. So, definitely a guy that had the potential, but, just had a down year in 2020. So, UGA took a shot on him out of the transfer portal, and look at him now. I mean, the Detroit Lions need a corner. Kendrick's the guy. They could go McDuffie here out of Washington, but Kendrick. At 29, I have the Las Vegas Raiders selecting Nicholas Petit-Frere, offensive tackle out of Ohio State. So the Raiders, they need offensive line help. I think that's pretty obvious. They have Colton Miller already locked up in there, but really nobody else. They need a right tackle, and Petit-Frere is one of the best right tackles in college football. Very poised. He's definitely going to be ready day one, like a lot of these players, but Petit-Frere, don't know if he has Pro Bowl potential, but he definitely has potential to be a very solid tackle in the NFL. I think his ceiling could be like a very solid Jawan James type player, like DeMar Dotson type player, but even more solid than those type of players. So I like Petit-Frere there here. He doesn't make mistakes. He doesn't allow crucial plays. He doesn't make stupid mistakes penalties-wise. Give me him in the first round. to the Raiders. At 30, I have the Green Bay Packers selecting Kingsley. I'm not 100% sure how to pronounce his last name. Anigbar, edge out of South Carolina. Very talented football player. That's all I got to say about this one. Very talented football player. The Packers need defensive line help. They need linebacking help. So, and Anigbar is a guy I would definitely select here. He's an outside linebacker, basically. He's an edge rusher, so with this Zadarius Smith suffering a serious injury, don't know how that impacts him long term. Preston Smith, don't know if he has a long-term future with the Packers. So, Anigbar, if they want to absolutely step up their pass rush game, get him. I think they're already sold in the secondary. They have Amos, Savage, Alexander, and Stokes. Stokes has been very good in his rookie season. One of the fastest players out there, So, I think this would be a great pick. At 31, I have the Baltimore Ravens, and think about Eggenbear. He could go anywhere in the top 15, top 20. I have the Ravens selecting Trent McDuffie, cornerback out of Washington. This is where Trent McDuffie will go, I feel, in this mock draft, as the Baltimore Ravens obviously need some corner help. They have Marlon Humphrey, who's had a bit of a down year, and Anthony Averett, who's been, just so far. So the Ravens, in Marcus Peters, they'll have Marcus Peters and Marlon Humphrey there, but Marcus Peters tore his, I believe it was ACL, so don't know how that impacts him long term. But with the struggles of Marlon Humphrey and the long-term risk of potential injury with Peters, Trent McDuffie is a guy the Baltimore Ravens could select. They could select an interior defensive lineman, but maybe the Ravens look to move on from Peters and take McDuffie. That would save a bit of money, and maybe they can use some of those expenses somewhere else on the roster. That would not be a terrible idea for Baltimore. And with the final pick in the first round, I have the Arizona Cardinals selecting a running back here. They have Edmonds and Connor. Connor's only on a 1-year deal, though, so I don't know if he'll be back. And Chase Edmonds is solid, but to get a guy next to Chase Edmonds would be nice, and a guy that's been one of the better running backs in the college football this season. Not sure if he'll go out. He might stay another year, but assuming he does, Kenneth Walker, the third running back out of Michigan State. He was the Heisman favorite at 1 week for me. Not right now. He's definitely top 5, though. The guy is ridiculous. He's probably been the best running back in college football this season, if not Bijan Robinson or Travion Henderson or even a guy like Zach Evans. Kenneth Walker III is ridiculous. He can break tackles like no other. Basically, if there's a hole, he's running for 10-plus yards. There's zero question about it. So, the Cardinals, him and Chase Edmonds would form a great duo back there. And I think that I almost went Jalen Weidermeyer here, but I think they might extend him. So, in Zach Ertz, that's what I mean. So I wouldn't be shocked. It seems like a guy that is very excited to be in Arizona, and I don't think that's just a rental or anything. So I appreciate everyone being here. Sports expert here. That was a long video, but definitely had to go through the mock draft. So I appreciate everyone being here. Please hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel. Turn on post notifications. Like the video, comment what you think. I would appreciate it very much, guys. It would mean the world to me. I'm out, guys. Sports expert here. Another mock draft will probably come next week. Peace.